Hi, I'm Reshma Patel Jackson, a partner at Attain Partners, and today I am thrilled to be joined by my colleague and longtime friend, Trishana Bowden, who I've had the pleasure of working with on several engagements at George Mason University. Trishana is the Vice President of University Advancement and Alumni Relations, and she's also the President of George Mason University Foundation at George Mason University. She's quite the change maker in the advancement space, so I'm truly excited, Trishana, to be talking to you today about how we maintain human connection and advancement. So I'm going to dig right in with our first question. So we all know higher education is at a crossroads. Institutions are facing financial pressures. There's demographic shifts that are leading to an enrollment decline. There's new federal policies that are in place, and there's also the disruptive force and opportunity of AI. At the same time, there's expectations from students, families, and donors, and those expectations are higher than ever. So the uncertainty right now in higher education, it's real. There's a lot that higher ed has gone through this past year. But at the same time, in those uncertain times, there's a lot of opportunity. And that's what we're really here to talk about. Because in this moment, advancement isn't just simply about fundraising operations, it's about maintaining resilience. And those individuals that are within advancement organizations at universities, they have now become the stewards of trust. They're the bridge between the institutional vision and the resources that make it happen. So the work that Trishana, you and your team do is central to sustaining higher education and ensuring it can adapt, grow, and thrive. So diving into my first question, given all of the changes that are taking place rapidly within higher education, what do you see as the biggest strategic opportunity for advancement functions over the course of the next 3 to 5 years?
Thank you, Reshma. I really appreciate being here with you today and having this discussion. It's always a pleasure to continue our partnership and collaboration with Attain Partners. I appreciate the question. It is one that we are literally focusing on as we are on I'd say the last $400 million of our billion-dollar campaign. How do we face all of the opportunities you listed? We'll call them opportunities rather than challenges, and do it in a way that brings people and all of our stakeholders really closer into the institution so that we can work together to solve those problems. And so the foundation of Mason started with the vision of businessmen understanding the importance of higher education in Northern Virginia. And so the very essence of who we are is different than most institutions. And so advancement, philanthropy is part of our DNA and has always been a major part of George Mason University. Again, usually universities are created, public land grants, states establish them, and we certainly were originally established by University of Virginia, Fairfax campus, and then it evolved. But again, all of that was possible because of gifts and vision. And
Yeah.
so, what I think is important for us at George Mason is to continue to focus on who we are, why we do what we do, and continue to serve the population of students that have always been where we've focused. As our president loves to say, biology equally distributes talent, but society doesn't equally distribute opportunity. And so that's what we do. We're the bridge to the opportunity, and we use the tool of education. And so we're using education right now to figure out how to further strengthen our relationships with our stakeholders, donors, and alumni. And it is from the one-on-one conversations that you'll have at an event to using AI to have mass messages that are sent. And so we have to look at artificial intelligence as another tool, not to replace humans, but to enhance what we're able to do and to do it at a larger volume or in masses. One thing that is different in higher education that we didn't have in the past is that we are right now engaging five generations. We have the boomers, we have Generation X, we have the millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. We've never had that in the past. Each one of these generations engage differently, communicate differently, and want different ways to engage and actually learn about their institution. And so we are cognizant of that. And so many of our strategies are customized to our stakeholders, how we are going to message to them, but also what we want them to do and how we want them to engage. So that's really important.
That's great. And that actually ties into my next question, right? You were talking about, look, we have donors, we have board members, we have alumni, and you really need to cultivate authentic relationships and engagement with those different constituents. Um, how do you go about doing that so they feel the genuine ownership in the mission of George Mason beyond simply being asked for a gift, right?
Yes, and that's important. It really is based on relationships. You said the magic word, and we talk about it often. You know, part of the my title is relations, alumni relations, and it's donor relations. It's the corporate relations, foundation relations. It's all based on relationships with individual stakeholders. And so, for us, I think the key is impact. We want each one of our stakeholders, our graduates, our donors, the non-alumni, as well as the corporate and foundation entities, to know the difference that they're making. And so while we're asking them for a gift, we're also demonstrating what their gift can do. And so it's important for it not to be a transaction, but for it to truly be a gift and an investment in the present as well as the future. And so it's, going back to what I said as it relates to customizing the messaging, but also making sure that people really understand that their giving makes a difference to our institution. Every dollar does count. And so if it's allowing a student to attain their dream of an education, especially for our first generation students, that is important. It's also important for our faculty who are involved in groundbreaking, consequential research that affects everyday society. And so it's important for our donors, the people who believe in us, to know the impact they're having and that the dollars that they give go to where they directed them. And so that is the two responsibilities I have as both president of the foundation as well as vice president of advancement and alumni relations, to make sure donor dollars go where they're supposed to. And so when they know it's going in the direction they want and it's having the impact that they want, they're willing to reinvest. So it's really important that we focus on the donor relations aspect of what we do every day.
I love that. I love that you're talking about the power that impact has and being able to communicate the impact that your donors and all of your stakeholders are able to bring to the university's mission. Earlier, you talked a little bit about leveraging AI. Can you talk to me a little bit about within advancement, how are you leveraging AI specifically to, one, not only streamline operations, but also personalize engagement that's needed with your constituents? How do you go about that?
What's interesting is, I've been in advancement for 33 years. And so when I started, it was lots of note cards and personalized notes and hang tags and all of that to people. And I still do that. I have not moved away from those personalized notes. But I have a team of people staff members, colleagues that recognize how we can use artificial intelligence in a very strategic way. And so I'll start with annual giving. We have an opportunity again for those messages to be customized based on the generation in which we're appealing to. And again, it's important that it's authentic. And so I appreciate the question. AI, again, can't replace the human connection. So we have to be very cognizant of not only the way we're messaging and using artificial intelligence, as we say thank you, as we share videos that are embedded in emails, as we do outreach asking for the possibility of a meeting or artificial intelligence to ask someone to attend an event, or confirm their attendance and what they're going to be able to engage in. And so it's really important that we do it in a way that maintains our authenticity. It looks and feels very customized because that's important, and that we're also measuring it, right? We're making sure that whatever strategies we're employing, we're making sure that they work and that they are achieving the goals that we have identified in the outset. And so our donor relations team continues to focus on how we can message again authentically in the same voice that Mason has had for years. The focus on the why of our students and why we do what we do every day. And so we are trying to keep up with the constant advances of AI, but not try everything. Not everything is going to work. And so we have to be thoughtful, both with head and heart, as to how we integrate AI and how our audiences are going to receive it. So I am constantly saying we need to make sure this is working, and we also try it on, I'll say, on a trial basis with smaller groups of people as we again employ these strategies to make sure we get their feedback, that these sort of focus groups, if you will, give us their honest opinion on what they see and what they read, and then that allows us to at least get a sense that we're going in the right direction. So if it's using artificial intelligence to create a beautiful proposal or thank you note for one person, or if we're sending messages to 10,000 graduates, we need to again make sure that it is consistent with the Mason message and that it will be received with the intentions that we established.
I think what you said right there was really powerful in the sense that when you're talking about AI, it's a great tool that we all love to use. It makes us more efficient. It makes our day-to-day tasks much easier. And just from an operational perspective, the streamlining that's been able to done to get staff members to think more strategically. But what I like about what you were saying is, yes, you're going to balance the use of AI, but also the future is still people-driven. And
Absolutely.
so they are learning to use these tools to create an even broader reach, a greater impact, and an expanded network that's able to create a larger influence and impact for George Mason and its community.
Yes.
So I love the balance that you're able to bring between the two. So I thought that was really powerful. I wanted to shift
I want
gears.
to add one other thing to you.
Oh
That
yeah,
this
go
is
ahead.
the power of the really the diversity of my team, and I
Mhm.
say that in that they have different expertise, experience, knowledge, and so we have the data analytics people who come forward with the outcomes, and this is what we should employ, and then we have the people who are focused on the messaging, and of course those of us who are dealing with the strategy, and this is the vision. And so when you have these different people at the table who are focused on this is our goal and this is how we'll achieve it. I, as the older one at the table, who again started with the personalized notes, I want to make sure that regardless of what we do, again, it is received with the intention that we originally designed. And so I'm constantly asking the question, is this Mason? Does it feel like Mason? Will people read it and know that it's Mason and, not AI, right? That's important. It's, again, a tool that enhances what we do, doesn't replace what we do.
Exactly. And I love you're getting into my next question, which is great. Advancement, it spans multiple areas. There's development, there's alumni relations, there's communications, and much more. When you're thinking about your team and building that culture of collaboration, what are some of the strategies that you use to create that high performance that's needed across very diverse disciplines within advancement?
Yes. And so, just like what we are doing as it relates to our donors and focusing on outcomes, we have metrics that determine the success necessarily of a gift officer. We have measurements as it relates to open rates, click rates for us for emails that are sent, invitations that are sent, messaging that is again shared with focus groups to see whether or not it works. We also, of course, have those strategic partners like a team that helps us focus on the different audiences that we need to be aware of and that we need to focus on. And so, what has been important in the evolution of advancement is truly more and more universities are recognizing the power of these relationships and that philanthropy is about time, talent, and treasure, right? And so it's the treasure has always been the focus of the advancement office because that's our job to bring charitable gifts into the institution. But what more and more leaders are recognizing, like our leader, Dr. Washington, President Washington, is that when you have alumni and donors involved in your institution, in your classrooms, partnering with us in research, all of these things matter. And so my team is constantly trying to develop relationships, message calls to action, focusing on the different stakeholders, how they can be integrated into our institution to help us really to attain our goal, right? And so that's been important. And so my team helps advancement to do that, but helps the senior leadership of George Mason to do that as well. And so it's all of that expertise and how we measure each one of them that allows us to achieve the goals that have been established by President Washington and the board that governs the university.
Yeah, and what you're saying really speaks to me as I'm a ProSci certified change management practitioner. Building these teams and having them communicate with one another, and it's all about change management and how you communicate and message what you're trying to achieve. That really resonates to your different stakeholders that you have. So I love the power that your team brings with being able to do that. I'm going to close out with one last question here. Um, we're at a powerful moment in time in higher education. And as you look at advancement, I know you have over 30 years of experience in this space. What are you most looking forward to when it comes to the future of advancement to ensure that higher education remains resilient and just a powerful force for good in society?
Yes. Thank you for that question, and I may answer it a little differently than you're thinking. It's a bit selfish. When I entered advancement, having graduated undergrad, I didn't know a lot about advancement. I knew very little about fundraising, but I knew I was a recipient of a scholarship. And so, what I am seeing in the last 10 years in particular is a growth in this profession that more and more universities are offering classes on nonprofit management and really underscoring the power of this profession. And every day I get to go home and know the work that I did made a difference to someone. And so that is really powerful. And so what I'm excited about is that this is an area, a profession that is going to really ignite higher education, bring forth powerful partnerships that are going to evolve and are going to have really impactful uh, results for their various institutions. And it's going to be more and more people who are choosing this profession and not falling into this profession because they recognize that they're going to be doing something that makes a difference and that they contribute to the whole of the institution and not just part of it. And so that I think is incredibly powerful. And so the more people that are drawn to this profession, the more that it will be regarded, appreciated, and will play a major role like it is doing now in the evolution of higher education, the importance, the investment in the people so that they can have the results needed for an institution. That is what I'm really hopeful of. We can do a lot. We make a big difference, and we are often the people that leadership calls on when they are trying to strengthen relationships, regardless of the stakeholder.
That's very powerful. I think what resonates with me with what you're saying is, the power of giving back and having the privilege to be able to do that,
Yes.
it's so important, and it's what society is all about. It's our civic duty to be able to do that.
Yes.
And thinking about that from the advancement lens is just such an impactful way to create movement and transformation at a point in time where we're just at the cusp of something huge.
Yes.
And thinking of this as an opportunity and a privilege is just such an important facet for the future of advancement. So I appreciate that.
Yes, I know every day that it is a privilege to do what I do, and I am excited every convocation and commencement because it's the power of that journey that is happening for our students, for our faculty. And so it's a privilege to be a partner in that, in helping an institution realize its goals. So um, I thank you for your questions. I continue to thank you for the partnership with Attain Partners, and you all have done so much for George Mason University, and look forward to future opportunities.
Yes, we look forward to continuing our partnership with you. And thank you so much for your time today, Trishana. It's so valuable to have you here.
Thank
Um,
you.
Thank you for your time.